Hello and welcome back to the Garion Tabletop and the Solland Uprising Mighty Empires campaign. I am Garion Reaver. This is the first battle of round 5. If you have not seen the campaign turn, I recommend you go check that out. It gives a bit of context for all of this, and that is linked in the description. This first battle sees some erstwhile allies facing off for the first time in the campaign. We have Sylvania versus Clan Deathtoll. This particular battle is taking place in the mountains near Drakenhof. The Sylvanians became very aware of the Deathtoll push through the mountains, and when a tunnel was discovered, Sylvania sent a force in and found an army headed in the other direction. So this battle is taking place inside a Skaven tunnel. To represent that, we have the board, and as you can see, it is a different orientation, so it is going to be fought this way using the Battle for the Pass scenario. What this means is it's pretty much a normal game, however these two edges are impassable. Units can still flee off them, but reinforcements can't come on, not that that's a thing here, and it is fought end to end. Taking a look at the vampire counts first, the force is led by the vampire lady Anya Dreyfus. She is a vampire lord, which is the lord version of the vampires, pretty much one of the most powerful single characters in the game. And she is backed up by two necromancers, Alda Korsch and Gilbert Ulbrich. Neither of them are part of any unit, and all three of them are using the lore of vampires. In addition, there is a White King who is the battle standard bearer by the name of Ivar. And then finally, we have a Banshee as an independent character rather than part of a unit, the Ghost of Highpoint. So hopefully she will do some damage. Here is the rest of the force, fairly generic in a lot of ways, it's mostly leaning into the characters. So we have 3 big blocks of skeletons, 2 units of Hex Wraiths, and 2 Terrorgeists. And the reason for this is I'm hoping that they are just going to sweep through this tunnel. That's what they've been doing up to now, and that is what they will continue to hopefully do. Over on the Skaven side, we have a very big name in this one. This force is led by Warlord Gritcher himself. This is the overall leader of Clan Deathtoll, taking the field for the first time. In this campaign, obviously. He's done it lots of times before this. He is supported by his loyal enforcer Cruiser, who is also the battle standard bearer. Bile Froth has once again taken place on his Plague Furnace. And there is a Warlock engineer by the name of Stubtail, who has also been dragged along. The rest of the force is intended to smash undead. We have a huge unit of Plague Monks, some Storm Vermin, Clan Rats, and Skaven Slaves. A couple of weapon teams, but the really fun part are the 2 Doom Wheels who are just going to go cartwheeling through the enemy. The intention of this force is to take out the head of the snake, the zombified, somehow still alive and kicking, biting snake. Snakes can't kick, they don't have feet. Anyway, while all the while having a completely unshakable core of their own force, because Skaven leadership is a bit of a sore spot. The battlefield is fairly simple as they go. There isn't really a whole lot of scenery that works in a tunnel, especially not one that's been carved out specifically for an army to pass through it. So we have 3 scree slopes, which mean any units charging, marching, fleeing, pursuing, or overrunning up, down, or through a scree slope, blah, 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 take a dangerous terrain test. We also have an abyssal wood, which represents sort of roots and stuff. It's not actually an underground forest. A unit with the majority of its models within the wood causes fear, which obviously has no effect for the vampire counts who all cause fear anyway, but might help the Skaven. And then a homebrewed one, the Flame Geyser, because I found the model and it looked cool. Units that pass over the Flame Geyser, so they don't need to march or anything. If they move over it in any way, they take D6 strength 5 hits with flaming attacks. By the wording of this does count flying, so like the 2 Terrorgeists can fly, they would also be affected. So let us crack on. We have the vampire counts as red, Skaven as blue. Let's roll off to see who picks a board edge. And the answer is the vampire counts do. And they are very, very similar. I think they're going to go for this side because it is slightly further away from the 3rd scree slope. Next we roll to see who deploys first. And it is, again, the vampires. So Ivar, the battle standard bearer, is in with skeletons. Anya is also with skeletons, and then there are some just other skeletons. I think we're going to start with the general, just because it is useful and important to know where your general is in a vampire army. So, oh, that flame geyser is right in the way, isn't it? Right, I'm going to put her unit there. Like, yeah, that should allow space for a second unit here. All right, now I'm gonna hedge my bets, and I'm gonna put her next to the flame geyser. Should also cover her flank, and I'll just move her to that side. We don't really have a great deal of like surprise units to deal with on this side. They don't have an elite unit as such, so let's just have Bilefroth's unit opposite this, and again positioned so that it doesn't go over the geyser. Yep, that looks good. Maybe a little, yeah, there. Maintaining the core, the other skeletons are going next to this. I think the clan rats and their poison wind mortar are going to go over here. Sort of far, ooh, maybe not that far over. About there. Final unit of skeletons. They can see that stuff's going on over here, so they're going to put the third skeleton unit there. Sort of expected with the abyssal wood and the flame geyser. I feel like this is how I always set up terrain, you know, because something like a flame geyser, or in the previous one there was like that ruin, it's sort of, I place it in the middle so that hopefully it impacts the game, because if it's on the edge, it's just not going to do anything. But I usually end up deploying so that they don't have to use anything to do with it anyway. So it just sort of splits the board. I don't really know how to fix that without not including the interesting things. I don't know. Gritcher's Storm Vermin unit is going to go in the middle here. The rattling gun that they have, I'm just going to shift them over a little so that these two can support each other, and the rattling gun can go there. And we've got 2 units of Hex Wraiths. The advantage they have is they are ethereal, which means they treat all terrain as open terrain. So it's debatable whether they would be affected by the Flame Geyser or not. Oh, they wouldn't, because it's not a magical attack. So no, I don't think they would be affected by the Flame Geyser. Which means I can place them here to make use of that fact. The Skaven slaves are going to go on this side just to protect the flank of this unit. The other Hex Wraiths are... ooh, I think the other Hex Wraiths are going to go here because they are fast. So they can come around the flank and they don't have to worry about this like normal cavalry would. One of the Doom Wheels is going to slot in there. That's why I left enough space at that end. Terrorgeists. Ooh. These can fly, but a thing I learned in a previous match, and from a little bit of reading online, they are not combat monsters. Although they look like they should be, they are not. They are intended more to support, maybe do a bit of like war machine hunting. Actually, I don't want him right behind the flame geyser, do I? Maybe a bit of war machine hunting, but for the most part, they're supposed to use their 8-inch range on their incredible shooting attack in order to hunt. But the issue is that these are longer than 8 inches, so anything that's in front of them can't really be hit by something behind them. The other Doom Wheel. Ooh, we do have this big open flank now. Yeah, I think the Doom Wheel all the way over here on their own. The other Terrorgeist is going to go behind this. So yeah, they're going to go behind there because they are going to try and use the thing, and they don't want to get caught by the Doom Wheel. The Warp Lightning Cannon, I think, has got to sit somewhere nice and safe where it can still shoot. So I guess here is the best place for it. It's not a great view because of the scree slope, so maybe I even put this on the scree slope. Like, the crew are irrelevant, so I can just tuck them behind it. They don't really matter in any way, they're just representative. So yeah, that's got an amazingly commanding view, and the only place it arguably can't see is that Terrorgeist because of the Flame Geyser. But I don't think the Flame Geyser is not... Oh, it's like a crash meteor. I see. It's like a crash meteor model. But the point of the Flame Geyser is it's not a constant flame. It's, so the flame itself shouldn't block line of sight. And then finally, the 3 remaining characters are deployed all together. Alda is going behind these 2, out of sight. Gilbert is going behind these, out of sight. And the Ghost of High Point, ooh, she's got a much shorter range. I think hers is also only 8 inches, so I'm going to put her beside these. She's also ethereal, and also won't be affected by the Flame Geyser. And then the last one is Stubtail, who has the Law of Ruin, so I need to put him somewhere where he can do his magic, so I'm going to put him there. You know what I should have done before doing any of that bloody deployment is spells. I will do that now, and I may change some deployments as I have just done them. Both Bilefroth and Stubtail are 2nd level wizards, however, Bilefroth is using the Law of Plague, and Stubtail the Law of Ruin, and to remind you, both of these are slightly homebrewed, because they did not have law attributes in the last release of the Skaven book. So, they are slightly homebrewed. Bilefroth first. Sorry, my mistake, Stubtail's a level 1 wizard. But yes, Bilefroth first, so 2 spells. First one, Cloud of Corruption. That is not particularly useful, because D6 strength 5 hits, although it would go through armor and stuff. Well, I mean, it goes through armor anyway. It's just not going to do much against these big units. I think I'll swap that for Pestilent Breath, because that can be used in combat, and Bilefroth is going to spend the entire time in combat, because he's on the Plague Furnace. Second one is Bless with Filth. Gets poisoned attacks. I can't change it, but that is not a bad one anyway. Sadly, I don't get any really fun ones in this. And the law attribute is Plague Rash. This is completely homebrewed. I think from the Warhammer Armies project. I think they came up with this one. Stubtail, however, is a 1st level wizard, so he only gets the 1 spell. And it is Howling Warp Gale. That is absolutely no use, except it does limit flying. That would stop the Terrorgeist from flying, but they're not really combat ones, so they're unlikely to. The only thing that would make the Terrorgeist fly ahead is if they thought they could snipe the weapon, but it's really sort of tucked in at the moment, so it's unlikely that they will do that until late in the combat, late in the game, at which point it is just a waste of his 1 spell. So I think I will have to swap that for Warp Lightning. And their lore attribute is, again, homebrewed, Favour of the Horned Rat, and I always forget they have this. Over on the vampire side, we have 3 using the lore of vampires. They're all 2nd level. I will start with Anya, I think. So she gets Dance Macabre. I think that works pretty well. And second one, I will, I'll roll just in case it's something good. And it is Raise Dead. No, I need her to have Invocation. So I could have been tempted if it was like Curse of Years, but next, Alda. First one is Dance Macabre, which is a duplicate, meaning I can choose any I want. With the way I'm planning to deploy these, because, I mean, realistically, if I'd remembered to do this on time, I would have known what they have, so if I choose, like, Wind of Death, then I could have deployed it so that Alda was at the front or whatever, so that she could actually make use of it. But either way, I don't think I will be going for anything like that. I think I'll stick to augments and stuff. I actually think I'll give her Hellish Vigor, which is not the most... Oh, I've broken this. Whatever. It's not the most interesting one, and Invocation for her second one, of course, as well. But it does play into the strategy I'm building. And then finally, Gilbert. He gets Raise Dead. I think that could be useful. So I will take that, and again, take Invocation, because that is an essential one, and is the only spell in the lore of vampires that multiple casters can have. Anyway, back to where I was. With all of the deployment done, technically the vampires did finish first. They actually sort of had the same number of units for once. It's quite rare that that happens, but technically they did finish first. So they get +1 to the roll to decide who goes first. The vampires who were red before and are still red, they get +1. It doesn't really matter. The vampires win. They choose to go second, because they know that there is shooting to be coming in their direction, and they'd rather the Skaven get a bit closer first. So we begin with Clan Deathtoll turn 1. Obviously, there are no charges at this stage, so we go straight to compulsory moves, which is both Doom Wheels. They have random movement. And because I'd be remiss if I didn't say it, again, the Doom Wheel is one of my favourite models in the entirety of Warhammer Fantasy. There is another Skaven model that does actually beat it, but yeah, the Doom Wheel is just so cool. Anyway, they have 3d6 random movement, so you tilt them in the direction you want, and then they just go in a straight line. So I'll do the left one first, 11, and the right one, 12. So they are just going 11 inches and 12 inches straight down the flanks. And then most of this army is melee based. Pretty much the only shooting is the rattling, the warp lightning, the mortar, and technically the Doom Wheels, but they don't really count. So we are going to be surging forwards. Everything in the army has a movement of 5, so we'll start with the Plague Furnace. They're slaves. The vampires are definitely out of range of the rattling, so that is going to move up as well. So it won't be shooting. And the Storm Vermin are moving up too. The Poison Wind Mortar can move and shoot, so they're also moving up. But I don't think they want to surge much further forward. I don't think they want to march or anything, so they will stop there. Oh, and Stubtail. He moves up as well. Magic. 10. Channeling 2 for the Skaven. 1. Channeling 3 for the vampires. None. Quite a disparity. 11 power to 5 dispel. Stubtail is within range with Warp Lightning, but without likely combat in the coming turn, there is no point for Bilefroth to use either of his spells. One's not within range, and the other is a combat augment. So, yeah, we're just going to do Warp Lightning. Go with 6 dice just to guarantee its cast. With his level, that's 22. Anya's going to put 5 in to try and dispel. A total of 21. One short of dispelling. And you know what I didn't do? And this is completely fitting for Stubtail. I forgot to upcast. I forgot to say I was upcasting, so I didn't. So it just causes d6 hits. 4. Can't believe I didn't upcast that. Easily could have done so. I also did forget to say who I was shooting it at. Oh, Stubtail, come on. Get it together. I'm blaming him for this. As Gritcher will. I think, yeah, I would have gone for the General's unit over there. He's got clear line of sight to it. Strength 5, so very easy to wound. 3 wounds, still failed 1. No chance of any saves against that, so that is 3 skeletons destroyed. Would have been a lot more if Snubtail had been paying attention. Stubtail. What did I say? Snubtail. Going into shooting, the Doom Wheels have something called Zap, which means they will blast Warp Lightning at the nearest unit within 18 inches, which is the Clamrats, unless they pass a leadership. Whether or not they use Gritchers, they have a leadership of 7, and they're definitely trying to withhold. They 14 or 13, so they're also going to try and withhold. Left one first, on a 7, pass. Right one, also on a 7, also pass. So neither of them shoot any lightning. The Poison Wind Mortar has a range of 24, fires like a stone thrower, but can move and fire. So they did move, and they can fire, and they will do so at these skeletons. Aiming there, we now roll Scatter, and it scatters direct hit, no scatter at all. And this doesn't have a strength as such, it does a 4+ wound against the one under the middle, and a 5+ wound on everything else. First of all, we test Look Out Sir for the champion, because otherwise he might be hit by the template. So that is on a 2+, as he is part of the unit. Passes, so it's just ordinary, so it is 1 ordinary skeleton on a 4+, and 8 on a 5+. No armor saves allowed, so if any of these are success, so that's 1. Total of 2, that's pretty poor, but that is still 2 fewer skeletons, which are probably going to stand straight back up again. It's worth noting that no one on this is something I neglected, no one on this side has Master of the Dead, so they cannot increase skeletons above their starting number. Considering the skeleton-heavy build in this army, I really should have given them Master of the Dead. The rattling gun moved and is still not within 18-inch range, but the warp lightning cannon has a pretty commanding view, so it can't see through the plague furnace, but can see over the plague monk, so is going to go straight for Anya. Oh, actually, no, there is the Terrorgeist. Should probably go for the Terrorgeist. Going to aim for there. This one is how much it overshoots, 4 inches. As long as it does bounce, then this is going to hit something. And then this one determines the strength of the shot and how far it bounces. So it is going 4 inches and is a strength 4 shot. Alright, that doesn't go anywhere near as far as I was hoping, but it does still explode at the end. Because for this I go over whether it's covering not the black borders of the base, but the top of the base. I'd say this guy is hit as well because it is just clipping his base, which means that is 10 skeletons from this unit and 2 from this one, because that one I'd say it is not quite covering the base. We'll do the 2 first. Both wound. They do get an armor save. 1 pass. My mistake. No armor saves are allowed against the Warp Lightning, so that is just 2 dead. I always say dead when, you know, they're skeletons. So, destroyed. Broken. Broken is probably better because they can stand back up. And 10 in this unit. This may be some of the best shooting they've ever done. 8. 8 skeletons destroyed. They are going to have to put in some work resurrecting these guys. And with no combat, that is the end of Deathtoll Turn 1 into Sylvania. I think all of the skeletons are going to move and then march. Ooh, they can't march into the woods, can they? Alright, they're just going to move and march up to the edge. Because they can't normally march, but within range of the general, which they all easily are, they can. So if we march up to there, keeping the battle line pretty solid, Alda is going to move and march as well up to there. Same with Gilbert, who is lagging a little bit behind. Although, I should probably have done this first. They are going to charge the Doom Wheel. I don't know who will win this fight. I kind of think the Doom Wheel is screwed, because these guys are also ethereal. And I think the only magical attack that the Doom Wheel can do is the shooting one. Because you see, normally ethereal are really, really hard to kill. And in this case, you know, they sort of are again. But the Skaven are fairly unique in that almost every ranged unit and a lot of melee also have the ability to do magical attacks. That's because all of their technology is powered by Warpstone. So you see this giant rock in the cannon, that is a chunk of essentially physical magic. And there's the same with the plague sensor in the wrecking ball of the plague furnace. That is basically a chunk of warp rock, what's it called, warpstone, inside a metal cage. Like all of their shooting stuff is again powered by it. You can see it on these. These are glass orbs of warpstone gas. You know, the point is that all of their shooting is powered by warpstone. So all of their shooting can hurt ethereal. And that is fairly unique among the armies. I think maybe dwarves can make their stuff magical, I think, or at least able to hurt ethereal, etc. But yeah, because Skaven can do it with pretty much everything, they are in a pretty good position against ethereal units. But they fall down a bit in melee. So the Hex Wraiths may be able to take advantage of that. And they are going to try and charge. And I should have done that before moving, but whatever. It is 14 inches. They have a movement of 8. So they have Swift Stride as well. So I roll 3 dice and I need to get a 6. Which I do. They're definitely within the front arc. So all of these guys go wee straight into the front. These Hex Wraiths are going to pivot. And then go 7 inches. They are still within range of their general, so they are allowed to march, and they are going to go another 7 inches to there. Sorry, 8 inches to there. And normally, cavalry would have trouble on a scree slope. Ethereal do not. The Ghost of High Point is going to move up, keeping pace but not going past it. And the Terrorgeists are going to... they can fly, so they can move up to 10 inches. I really don't know where this one's going to go. I think he's going to move up to here. I'm really counting on the Hex Wraiths taking out this Doom Wheel, because otherwise the Doom Wheel's going to cause trouble. Magic, 7. Skaven Channel, 1. Vampire Channel, none. 7 power, 7 dispel. I think I'm going to have to spend this mostly resurrecting dead skeletons. And Alda probably shouldn't be that close, because if she blocks them, they can't be resurrected. Let's start off with Anya casting Invocation of Nehek. Basic level on 2 dice, 8. 10 with wizard level. They can realistically dispel 2 of them, so I'm going to put 3 dice into getting rid of this one. 13. That is dispelled. Alda is now going to use her Staff of Damnation, which is a magic item she has purchased, and it is a bound spell, power level 4. It is an augment spell. All friendly undead and their mounts within 6 inches gain extra attack. She only needs a 4 to cast it, and she's a level 2, so she only needs to roll higher than 2. So I'm going to do it on a single dice, which she gets. Total is 6. I think they're going to let that through because there are probably going to be another couple of invocations and they want to do their best to stop them. So that affects this unit, that unit, the Terrorgeist, Gilbert, not that he's going to use it, and herself. Next, Gilbert will try an invocation as well. He can get all 3 within 6 inches, so he's going to go for the basic one on 2 dice. 4, total is 6. It does technically pass, but they're going to use 2 to try and dispel. And they do. This is their last chance. Alda casting invocation on 2 dice. Basic casting 6, total of 8. 2 dice to try and dispel. 10, total of 12. It's gone as well. They cast no invocations. Oh, that is really, really bad. Not having any invocations when 2 of these units are already beginning to be depleted and are about to go against all of this. Oh, I may have badly messed up this army list. Shooting, no things are within the 8 inches range for any of the ghostly howls I have, so straight into combat. Normally the Hex Wraiths would inflict terror, however the Doomwheel also has terror, which means they wouldn't roll, but it is also immune to psychology, so it automatically passes its terror test anyway, or fear test anyway. Also worth noting that while I do have a custom homebrew cavalry impact rule, that does not affect anything that has the fast cavalry rule, which Hex Wraiths do, so they don't inflict impact hits. The Doomwheel has higher initiative, however, they are unable to hurt the Hex Wraith, so it's not worth rolling anything. Total of 4 Hex Wraith attacks, because the champion has 2. Still only wounding on a 5+, despite having strength 5. That is 1 wound. No armor saves are allowed, so it just takes a wound. Nothing they can do. And that's the end of the combat. Because, you know, it is completely unable to hurt the ghost reapers that it's fighting. So it loses the combat by 2. Has to test on a 5. So it may end up just fleeing. Yep, it broke. Apparently things with random movement use that for their flee roll, so it actually flees 3d6. Oh! Well, it's dead. Because the Hex Wraiths pursue, they have swift stride, so unless they roll 3 1s as well... Yeah, they didn't. Can't believe it got 3 1s for its flee roll. Yeah, okay. The Doomwheel is immediately destroyed, and these move a total of 3 inches forward to catch it. Can't believe that's all that it did. First casualty on the Skaven side, and it's not a Skaven slave, it's not a clan rat, it's a Doomwheel. Into Deathtoll turn 2. The Plague Monks have Frenzy, which means if they can charge, they have to, or unless you pass a leadership test. They have a movement of 5, so they'd need to roll an 8 to charge. That is a low chance, it's under half, but if they manage it, we can just crush the army in one go. So I think they're going to try. They can't like stand and shoot or anything, so yeah. They need an 8, which they don't get. So they move, I can't remember if it's the lower or the higher. It's the higher. So they move a colossal 3 inches forwards. I think that's the only charge I'm going to try. There's no point trying to charge through these woods. So, the one doom wheel that remains. I'm going to tilt it as best I can. It's another one of those times when I'd split the difference. But, because it's just a little bit too close. But yeah, for the sake of things, I'm just going to put it there because it's aiming up here. 3d6 random movement, and it goes... Ooh, 14. That is in a very good position to do some good quality zapping. This is a bit tricky. Like, I'm rethinking about it. I'm not sure whether the slaves should charge these hex wraiths or not. Because, on one hand, charging them means they don't get the charge, they don't get the +1 to combat resolution. But the thing is, the slaves can't hurt them, so they would have to destroy them through combat resolution, and they're gonna die in droves because they've got no armor. They've got no protection whatsoever against these incredibly high strength attacks, and they probably would fail their fear test anyway. So, they're almost certainly going to get charged next turn. I think I would be silly not to charge them. I mean, they're Skaven slaves, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I think they're going to charge, so they're going to have to pivot a bit in order to receive the charge. And if I position them there... Come on. There. They don't go over the scree slope and therefore don't have to test for a dangerous terrain. Because the thing with the Hex Wraiths is they are incredible on the charge, but they only have 1 wound each. And they're very expensive, and this is a very small unit. So all they have to do is lose the combat by a total of 5, and they'll just fade out of existence. So all the Skaven slaves have to do is get lucky and not take more than 2 wounds out of 6 attacks. Sorry, more than 3 because they charged. So it's conceivable. It's like a... yeah, not a very high chance, is it? We'll see. It could be a nice winning move if it happens to work. The Storm Vermin are going to move up to the 5 inches they can without marching into the woods, as are the Clan Rats. Poison Wind Mortar is keeping pace so that it has line of sight, but the Rattling Gun is now in range, so isn't going to move. Stubtail is also in range, so isn't going to move. Magic. 11. Channeling Skaven. Nope. Vampires. 3. Bloody 3. 11 power, 9 dispel. You know, I've just realised there are no really destructive spells. Like, literally the only spell on the entire board that can do damage is Warp Lightning. Everything else is... Oh no, and Pestilent Breath. Everything else is augments. That's funny how that has happened. Still not in range for Pestilent Breath, not quite. I think Bilefroth will cast Bless with Filth on his own unit. Like, there's nothing you can do for the Skaven slaves, you know, they're on their own. But the Plague Monks it's possible they'll see combat. I really don't know if the skeletons are going to charge. They probably should. So, yeah, he's going to go with Bless with Filth on... I don't want to waste a load of stuff on this and risk a miscast. 4 dice, needs an 8 minus his level. Total of 15. Warp Lightning is almost certainly coming, so I have a habit of letting through spells that completely screw me over, so I don't know whether to stop that one or not. I don't think I will. I think Warp Lightning is more dangerous. So the Plague Monks have poisoned attacks, which means a roll to hit of 6 is an automatic wound. And Stubtail is going to try and cast Warp Lightning. This time he is going to upcast it, because he's remembered that's a thing he can do. So 6 dice. Hopefully he's not going to explode. He is not. Total of 20. 6 dice to dispel. That is an abysmal roll. Total of 16, I think. Not enough. Warp Lightning passes. 2d6 hits. 8. This time he can only see... actually, he can see the unit, but I was thinking of going for this one. So, yeah, going for that one. Because of the high strength, no armor saves. So that is 8 dead. Damn, Stubtail is actually doing some work here. Ivar's unit is getting seriously depleted now. Shooting, first of all, is the Doom Wheel. This time he will not try and restrain it, so it hits the nearest unit, which is these skeletons. See, if this Doom Wheel had survived, this would be really, really powerful because these count as Warpstone weapons, which are magical attacks. And it is an artillery dice of strength. So they do... Oh, they're only strength 2. So this is not likely to do much. Oh well, 1 wound. Failed armor save, so that is 1 more skeleton destroyed. Line of sight is getting a little bit iffy over here, but I would say he can see that past his own unit. Yep, he can see this, so he's going to aim there. Scatter, 10 inches that way. Going further into the enemy. Too much further, actually. Lands just behind Alda. Whoa. She's just standing there holding up her Staff of Damnation, powering up all of her cohorts, and then suddenly she just hears glass break behind her. The Rattling Gun is going to shoot at Ivar's unit as well, see how quickly we can deplete this core. The Rattling Gun, you roll d6 until you get a double. So the first one, 1. Not again, don't do this again. Second one, 6. Total of 7 shots. Yeah, 1 more. 5, yes! Total of 12, I'm sticking with that. That is a good number of shots. And a rule that I forgot about last time is normally this would be considered long range. However, the Rattling Gun is hot warp lead. It shoots things well. Yeah, hot warp lead. It is not affected by multiple shots or long range. So it just rolls at its normal chance to hit. And it's a strength 4 weapon. 6 hit. Armor piercing, so no armor saves. 6 wounds, so that is just 6 skeletons get shot apart. By the way, it is astonishing to me that nothing has gone wrong with the Skaven so far. And maybe that's tempting fate, but come on, they've been doing so well. I'm wondering if the Warp Lightning should go for the Hex Wraiths. Like, it can pivot, so it could shoot over there. I'm wondering if they're a bigger threat than the Terrorgeists. No, I'm going to stick on target, aiming there, so that... Ooh, actually, that's going to miss. Aiming there, that is beyond the minimum range, and maybe this is sort of threading the needle. Shouldn't really work like this because, like, it's aiming just in front of their own troops, but with the elevation on the scree slope, the fact that it is a tall weapon, I think it's probably okay. It's any closer, and I'd say it probably couldn't. But in this case, I think I will allow it. Can the barrel draw line of sight to the floor? It sort of can't, can it? All right, no, I'm not going to allow it. It's can't technically see it because of the storm vermin. But there, the end of the barrel can see it. So I will allow that shot. It bounces. Misfire. I tempted fate. I deserved that. D6 on the misfire. 4. Energy overload. Roll the scatter and resolve a strength 10 shot 46 inches in that direction. Okay. Roll scatter. I think that is towards nothing at all. Oh, maybe. Normally it wouldn't actually hit anything, but it is a large template at the far end, so it goes 16 inches. And I'm fairly sure that is going to be too far away from anything. Yeah, just. So, which is scarier? Standing behind behind your own lines and hearing glass break behind you, or just having your line and hearing a massive explosion of lightning right behind you? Combat. This is going to be another weird combat. Skaven slaves can't do anything, so it is just a matter of how many wounds the Hex Wraiths can inflict. They have a total of 5 attacks because champion is 2, this one can't reach. But first of all, Skaven Slaves are testing for fear on 5, which they actually pass. Because Skaven Slaves have a leadership of 2, but Skaven have the strength in numbers rule, which means they get +1 leadership in tests for each rank they have. But I believe in 8th edition it is still capped at 3, so although they've got like 10 ranks, they only have a leadership of 5. But they did actually miraculously pass, even though they're fighting literal ghost reapers. Oh, by the way, I just want to show this because it's not something I will ever use in a video just because it's a bit hard to see. But this has alternate versions of them which are transparent, or translucent rather, which is really, really cool. It's an amazing addition to the mod, but they're just a bit too difficult to see, so I'm never going to use them in a video. I just really wanted to show that off. You know what I've just realised? I forgot to roll to hit with the Hex Wraiths against the Doom Wheel. They just rolled straight to wound. Oh no! It's possible they would not have actually hurt it. Oh well. It was hilarious watching it roll a 111, so I'm okay with it, but... Also, I forgot to do the horses attacking. I fumbled that whole combat, basically. Hex Wraith attacks. 4 hit. Any of these is a wound. Wow, only 2 wounds. So depending on how the horses do, the Skaven Slaves may actually win. Horse attacks. 2 hit. 1 wound. I think the Skaven Slaves have won, you know, because they charged. Because that's all the combat. And they get 3 for their ranks. So they win the combat by 1. I mean, that's not really going to help them in future turns, because Hex Wraiths have unstable, which means they unbreakable and unstable, which means they don't test for leadership whether they break. They just lose a wound for each point for which they lose the combat, which is 1. So 1 Hex Wraith is gone. Amazing, Skaven Slaves. We may actually feed them tonight. Sylvania, turn 2. I kind of feel I should probably charge in because, yeah, the skeletons, like the vampire counts, have no range stuff, and they're just going to get chipped away more and more unless they get into combat. So 10 inches, they need a 6 to make the charge, which they don't get. They don't get it. So they move 1 inch forwards, and they can't do a stand and shoot or anything. But oh wow, it's not even that far. It's that far. Wow, such movement. The Ghost of High Point is going to move up to there. Yeah, she's going to move through this. So she is now within Ghostly Howl range. Oh, I don't know what to do here. I should probably charge through the wood and try and get some combat, because I don't know how they could possibly win this if they stay back. Yeah, alright. They're going to try and charge the Storm Verm. They're going to die so badly. Oh, I think they've got to... I don't think they have a choice here. If they don't charge, they're done for. So, I need a 4 for Ivar's unit. He gets it. So they can charge without going into the woods. And I think they're going to have to try and charge the same unit. They are going to have to go through the woods, but yeah, they can try. So 4. Like, I've seen in battle reports and stuff, they get the charge. I've seen in battle reports and stuff, people can be too afraid of dangerous terrain in 8th edition. Yeah, so they get the charge there. So technically they are a bit close to this one, but it's unavoidable in order to complete the charge, so I'm going to allow it. 25 skeletons. Champion. Pass. No fail. Total of 2 fails out of 25 rolls. I got 2 1s. That is pretty good going. These Hex Wraiths are going to pivot, and they can just do so without going off the board. I think 1 more. Oh no, 1 more as well. So pivot 2... 3, 4, 5, 6, and then move 2 inches forwards. So they're going to charge start charging into the flank next turn. Terrorgeist is going to move this way so that it is able to assist with the Ghostly Howl. Sorry, Death Shriek is what they have. Banshees have Ghostly Howl. Terrorgeist of Death Shriek is more powerful. I'm sure I've talked about this before on these videos, like probably the last time the Terrorgeist was used. I'm not sure if line of sight needs to be in the front arc or not, because Death Shriek needs line of sight, but doesn't specify the front arc. So that makes me think that the Doom Wheel is in line of sight, because it's like, oh, it uses true line of sight if you can draw a line between their eyes and the model. And it's like, yeah, but his head can move. You know, it's not like a gun barrel, where it's like, you know, if the gun barrel is low, then you can't shoot over stuff. His head, like, he's a tall model and his head can move. So you shouldn't be penalized because you've, like, for example, if the Terrorgeist was modeled eating something on the floor and he's technically looking at the floor, does that mean that he has no line of sight? No, of course not. So, yeah, I'd say that he can draw line of sight pretty much any way but backwards, because he can just look left or right. So I'm going to move the Terrorgeist there and tilt him slightly. I want to get him as close as possible without going into the wood. And I'd say he can still see the Doom Wheel. Maybe if I tilt him a little more, like so. He can still see the Doom Wheel, and he is also... Oh, not quite within range of those, so I'm going to move him a little smidge forwards. And he is now within 8 inches of those and of that. So I'd say he can see the Doom Wheel. Let me know your interpretation of that in the comments. Alda is going to move 4 inches and then march because she's within range of the general, because she desperately needs to do some invocations. Same with Gilbert, he is going to move and march to get there. So they are both within 6 inches of all three. Magic 7. Channeling Skaven. Nope. Channeling Vampire. 1. First of all, Gilbert, invocation. I need to do like 3 invocations to stand a chance at recovering this. So 2 dice, invocation, lowest casting. Oh, fails. Total of 5. Alder, invocation on 3. Total of 11. Try and dispel on 3. Fails to dispel. We have an invocation cast. Good. So all 3 of these, although I'm not sure that's actually taken any. Yeah, they've lost, I think, 3. Yeah, all 3 of these recover d6 plus 2, which is really not much. 7. Sorry, I should have specified I'm going left to right because you roll individually for each. So I believe that is actually all of the missing skeletons from this unit, because they have 23, they started with 30. Ivar's unit, 5. And that's looking a bit healthier. This one's only lost 3, so anything higher... Well, actually, I was about to say anything higher than a 1, but no, that is just everything recovered. And Anya is also within 6 inches of both of these, so she will also go for an invocation. 3 dice. Total of 10. 3 dice to dispel. Dispelled. Total of 13. Oof. 14, sorry. Either way, that is so bad. Shooting, and all 3 units in this army that are able to shoot are now in range and will do so. So they all have a range of 8, and I'll do the Terrorgeist against the Skaven Slaves first, because it's going to be devastating. For this, it can be targeted into combat, and you roll 2d6 and add the number of wounds, which is 6. Ooh! And that, you then subtract their leadership, and they suffer a wound for each point of difference. So that's a total of 17. Well, this is really, really bad for them. The wording of strength in numbers is they can add their rank bonus to the leadership value for any leadership test. This is not a test. This is just, you have the number rolled, the 15, minus their leadership, which is 2. Sorry, the 15 is what's left. Rolled a total of 17. Yeah, 15 Skaven die now. I'm just going to take 2 off the back row rather than do all that faff. That is horrendously bad for them. Yeah, so they may lose their rank bonus. Next, the Ghost of High Point will use Ghostly Howl on the Plague Monks, which is very similar to Death Shriek but slightly weaker. Rather than 2d6 plus the number of wounds, which is 6 at the moment, it's 2d6 plus 2, so a total of 11. Still very damaging because Plague Monks only have a leadership of 5, so that is 6 monks dead. Doesn't appear to have made the unit much smaller, does it? Oh, my mistake. The Plague Monks are within range of Gritcher, who has a leadership of 7, and Errata, I believe, confirmed they can use that. So 2 fewer monks die. And the other Terrorgeist is going to use Death Shriek on the Doom Wheel, because that is the perfect way to counter it. So 2d6 plus 6. 13. That is a difference of 6. So the Doom Wheel, which has only 5 wounds, just dies. As the guy just dies at the wheel. The wheel just goes careening into the side of the cave and explodes. Well, those Doom Wheels didn't do anywhere near as much as I was expecting them to. And combat, we have this big one, which includes their general, or we have this little one here. I'll do this one first because it's not affected by the general. Again, the slaves can't actually do anything to hurt the Hex Wraiths, so they just attack. First of all, testing fear on 5, which again they pass miraculously. Like, literally 15 of them just drop dead from a big undead bat monster screaming at them. But yeah, they're unafraid of the ghosts. First of all, the horses. 1 hit. I mean, technically they're not horses. Technically they're spectral steeds, but you know, skeletal steeds. So yeah, they're skeleton horses. No wound. With the champion, they have 5 attacks. 2 hit, 2 wound. I think the Skaven slaves are still gonna win, because they have 3 ranks. Literally one more kill would have tipped it over so that they won. But no, the Hex Wraiths lose, and they lose another horse. How are they doing this? And this one up here, this is where we actually get to roll some dice on, you know, both sides of the combat. How novel, I know. First of all, Ivar will challenge, and that will be accepted by Gritcher. Gritcher is much faster, so he goes first. He's also much better at combat, weirdly. 3 hit. And Gritcher is wielding the Ogre Blade, which gives him +2 strength, so he's still got a decent chance to wound. 2 wound. Due to the high strength, Ivar doesn't get an armor save, but he does get parry saves on a 6+. 2 fails. So Ivar has 3 wounds down to 1 now. Ivar's attacks back. Bloody 3 misses. Ooh, whoops. I forgot to test for fear. So Gritcher's 7 plus 3 for the rank, meaning he is testing on a 10. And easily passes. So while the challenge is ongoing, the rest of the battle happens. 3 Storm Vermin against Ivar's unit. 3 hit. +1 strength from their halberds, 2 wounds, 2 failed saves. So that is 2 skeletons from Ivar's unit gone. Because of the champion, 7 attacks against this unit. 5 hit, 5 wound, none saved. Because of the champion across both units, 12 skeletons fight back. 5, 2 wound, 1 save. In all of that, 1 Storm Vermin died. So they get 1 for the banner, 1 for the banner, 1 for the battle standard, 3 for rank, and 3 for rank. Oh. Is that 13 or 14? I don't know. I think I didn't click properly, so I think it's 14, but I'm not certain. It does matter, because they don't test for leadership. Instead, they just lose the difference, so they lose 7 guys each. That was pretty devastating for Sylvania. As we go into Deathtoll, turn 3. First of all, the Plague Monks have Frenzy, so must charge. And obviously the nearest thing that is chargeable is this poor unit of 4 skeletons and a erstwhile king. So I guess we're charging that. Obviously it's within the minimum range, so we're just going to move straight in. We can't get too far over because of Stubtail being in the way, but they can get to there is about the closest. That doesn't even bring the Plague Furnace into contact, but I just can't get them any closer, I don't think. Yeah, that's still just the 1 Plague Monk. Alright, that's the best I can do. Likewise over here, Cruiser's unit are going to charge these skeletons, and they can actually get closer. They can just slot right in here. However, that does mean that I would say Cruiser and these 2 have to test for dangerous terrain charging into the Abyssal Wood. Cruiser is fine. Normal guy is fine. Champion is fine. This is the biggest sprawling combat I think we've had in the campaign, with like 3 units on this side, 2 units on that side, and none of them are fighting more than 2 enemies. The Poison Wind Mortar is going to move up to here, so they're still within range of that, but they can also see this unit over there. There's no chance the Rattling Gun's going to be able to fire, and to be honest, there's no chance Stubtail is going to be able to do anything either. Actually, maybe if Stubtail moves up this way, if he moves like, I don't know, 2 inches to there, and then 3 inches across, is he within 24 inches? He is, so he can actually do Warp Lightning on the Hex Wraiths. Magic. 6. Skaven. 1. Vampires. 1. 7 power, 6 dispel. There really isn't much that Bilefroth can do here, like he can't do his Pestilent Breath, and Blessing of Filth is not particularly important to waste magic on against a unit of 5, so I'm just going to put 6 dice into Stubtail, doing a Warp Lightning Upcast against the Hex Wraiths. Total of 17. 6 to try and dispel, easily dispelled it. Well, that's bad news for Stubtail. Shooting. The Poison Wind Mortar is going to shoot over there. It does have a line of sight. Yep, clear line of sight to there. So the Poison Wind Mortar will aim its mortar there. Roll for scatter. 10 inches back towards it. So that's 10 inches in this direction. Actually has its scatter onto the Terrorgeist. So just like anything else, it takes a wound on a 5+. Which it does not. The Rattling Gun cannot fire, as its only visible target is in combat, and Skaven actually have a thing so that you can shoot into a combat that includes only Skaven slaves, but this does not. This includes things that are important, so we're not going to fire into that. But the Warp Lightning Cannon, I'd say it can't really see the skeletons, it can definitely see the Terrorgeist, or it can see these Hex Wraiths that are currently uninjured. They're a different colour. Oh no, they're not a different colour. It's that this has lighting effects, so these look lit up. It's actually quite spooky. Anyway, yes, this is going to try and shoot at the Hex Wraiths in lieu of anything better. Then again, the expendable rule for the Skaven slaves says that you can target ranged attacks at enemy units engaged in combat with Skaven slaves, but no other friendly troops. That makes me think I could fire this here and like smash through all of this stuff. Like, I don't know if that's intended. I'm sort of inclined to say it is legal to do that, you know, to shoot this, because normally war machines like cannons, which this predominantly is, cannot be fired so that they have a chance of hitting a friendly unit. So like, for example, if I had like another Skaven unit behind this, I couldn't shoot at this even though it's like in the way, because there is a chance that it could overshoot and hit the friendly. That's just not allowed. But with the Skaven slaves having the expendable rule, it sort of makes it seem like they are completely the exception. Ranged things, target near Skaven slaves, it doesn't matter. That is my interpretation. That's sort of, maybe that's a homebrew interpretation, but you know, it's specifically for the Skaven slaves. It's not just for any Skaven model. So yeah, I'm going to say that's fair. So I'm going to aim there because I'm not trying to hit the Skaven slaves, but it's going to overshoot by 2 to 10 inches. So it overshoots by 4. So that goes from 16.1 up to 20.1. It completely misses them. All right. So how much does it bounce by, and what is the strength? 10. 10? Oh, finally the Warp Lightning is doing something good. So it goes from there up to there. Although the Warp Lightning Cannon says that it hits anything within the path, which would be 2 Hex Wraiths, in 8th edition they can only hit a maximum of 1 per rank, which is a change from 7th edition when the Warp Lightning Cannon was written. So I'm going to treat this like an 8th edition cannon and say it can only hit 1 Hex Wraith and the Terrorgeist. And as this is a Warp Stone weapon, because it isn't a cannonball, it is firing a blast of Warp Lightning from the Warp Lightning Cannon. It is a magical attack and can hurt the Hex Wraith. Against the Hex Wraith, it wounds. They have an armor save, but at strength 10, it is gone. And against the Terrorgeist, with its toughness of 6, it's still a 2+, and it wounds. It does have a 6+ regeneration, which it fails. And the Warp Lightning Cannon does D6 wounds, so it takes 4 wounds from getting blasted by the cannon. So it is still alive, or still standing. So we lose 1 Hex Wraith. I will just shuffle them over. Actually, I don't need to because they are still both in contact. So we lose 1 rank and file Hex Wraith, and the Terrorgeist loses 2/3 of its wounds. And the Skaven slaves get to watch a bolt of bright green lightning fly over their heads and land, about 3 feet in front of them. Combat. We have this massive scrum here, but first I will do this one, which is now tipped significantly further in the Skaven slaves' direction, bizarrely. So again, they can't hurt the Hex Wraith, so we just go straight to the horses and then the Wraiths themselves. Testing for fear on a 5. Oh, they fail. For the first time in this combat, they have failed. I guess seeing the lightning was really scary for them. So that reduces their weapon skill to 1 from the almighty 2 that it was. Horse attacks. 2 hit. 1 wound. 3 Hex Wraith attacks with the champion. Bloody 3 1s. Seriously, they needed to get 2 wounds in order to win this, because they just lost 1. So they only get a +2. Oh, okay. They get 2 for rank, and the Skaven slaves win. Another Hex Wraith fades away. And over here, this is a mess of a combat. First things first, Bile Frost unit charged in, and I had to look up whether a Plague Furnace can make way and move over so that he's in contact, because at the moment he is not. It is not quite in contact. And it turns out that no, he cannot, because only characters whose footprint is compatible with the unit's rank and file can make way. Meaning, because this is a different size, it can't move sideways. First of all, Gritcher continues the challenge with Ivar. Testing for fear with Gritcher's 7+3 for the ranks is an easy pass. Gritcher's attacks, 3 hit, only 1 wound. He only gets his parry save, which he fails. Ivar is killed, he's destroyed by Gritcher and his ogre blade. That is a severe blow to the Sylvanian side. Next up is Cruiser against the skeletons. Oh, sorry. I did that slightly wrong. Yeah, the way fear works is you test per unit. Sorry, not per side of the combat. I've been doing that wrong for a little while then. So Cruiser's unit, like that would have been Gritcher's one. Technically, they can all use his leadership +3. So I will say that was Gritcher's one, both because he's already struck his blows and makes sense to test his first. So I still need to do Cruiser and the Plague Monks. I don't need to do the Plague Monks. They are unbreakable because of the Furnace, meaning they automatically pass, but I do need to do Cruisers. Testing on a 10 as well. they actually fail, or they would, but they get a reroll because Cruiser is the battle standard bearer. And they pass. Oh, also Cruiser is holding the Standard of Discipline, which means they can't use Gritcher's leadership, but it gives him +1. So that actually brings him up to the same as Gritcher, 7, plus 3 for the rank is 10. Cruiser's 3 attacks, 2 hit, 1 wound, not saved. Next it's the Storm Vermin, then it's the Clan Rats, then it's the Plague Monks, and then after all of that, any skeletons that are left can attack next. 1 Storm Vermin against these skeletons. Miss. 9 including the champion against these. 7 hit. Halberds give them +1 strength, 6 wounds. 2 pass their armor, 4 dead. Only 3 Clan Rats can reach the skeletons. 1 hit. 1 wound. Saved. Only these 2 Plague Monks can actually reach the skeletons, but they have Frenzy, giving them +1 attack if they're in contact, so a total of 3. Only 1 hit. They've done really poorly. No wound. I say they've done poorly, they got 6 wounds overall. Only 1 skeleton can attack the Plague Monks. Hit. Wound. And they wear no armor. So there's 1 dead Plague Monk. These skeletons are wielding spears, which means that they can attack with all 3 ranks. So that means a total of 10 skeleton attacks across the 2 units against the Storm Vermin. 3. 1 wound. Saved. Leaving 5 skeletons against the Clan Rats. Although these 3 have to attack Cruiser directly. 3 attacks on Cruiser, 3 hit. Wow, 3 5s. But no wound. 2 against Clan Rats, 1 hit, 1 wound, saved. Deathtoll get 1 for standard, because you only get 1 across all of the units, 1 for the battle standard, and then 3 for rank. The skeletons get 1 for a banner, and 1 for rank, meaning they lose the combat by 9. So instantly, that unit dies. And 9 from the other one, leaving them with just 4. And that actually takes Bilefroth's Plague Monks completely out of the combat. So I think, like I've checked, I can't find definitive rules about it, so I think that means they can sort of overrun as if they just charged and wiped out a unit normally. So that means they immediately roll 2d6 and they move that far forward. As they continue the charge, another 5 inches, which I don't think will quite take them into the others. Oh, just short. Just short of charging into Alder. This is very, very quickly turning against the vampire counts who weren't doing amazingly from the start. But it is now Sylvania Turn 3. Alright, let's try and win this. So, Anya's unit is going to charge in. They are easily within minimum. It's about time we killed off these Skaven slaves, so the Hex Wraiths are going to charge in this flank of them. I'm going to have to make some dramatic moves here, so the Terrorgeist is going to fly. Oh, it can't actually clear it. In order to march and be able to clear this unit, he's got to be within 10 inches of Anya at the end of his first flight, because as far as I'm concerned, like, it's all part of one movement, and as long as the march can be done, then it's fine. So, yeah, he flies over to here. He's still within, yeah, even if he flies here, he's still within range to continue to march, and so he can get all the way over to here. I think this Terrorgeist will fly over this way. So it's leaving the range, but if I fly 9 inches and then pivot slightly, he's now in a position where he can threaten these units without being in imminent danger himself. Alder is going to move very slightly this way so that she is not in charging range, and Gilbert is going to move 4 inches this way, likewise, so he is not within charging range. However, they are realizing that they are staring down the barrel of a rattling gun, but there is so little they can do. They have nowhere to go. Magic. Better be a good one. 6. Skaven channel. Nope. Vampire channel. 1. 7 power and 5 dispel. Looking at this situation, this unit is full, so therefore cannot be healed in any way. This one is almost depleted and is probably not worth healing. Is it worth casting Invocation of Nehek at all right now? The only thing that they could heal is the Hex Wraiths if they're within range, so they'd need to... Alder would need to triple upcast, max upcast rather, so would Gilbert, and so would Anya. So yeah, they'd need to roll an 18 in order to heal the Hex Wraiths, which I believe could only heal 1 anyway because of Ethereal. Them being Ethereal means I think that's a thing. Yeah. Models with Ethereal can never regain more than 1 wound. Hang on though. That says models. Models with Ethereal, not units with Ethereal. So actually they could completely replenish the Hex Wraiths because they only have 1 wound each. Okay, I have a plan. It's not a very good plan, but it's the only plan I have. I am going to start off with Gilbert casting Raise Dead at normal level. So that is a 9, and he's going to use 3 dice. Ooh, that's a good one. Total of 15 with his level. I think they're going to throw everything into dispelling that. Like, what else can they do? They know that Alda has a magic item which lets her cast a spell. But apart from that, because all the spells they have are visible, but magic items are not. They only have Invocation, which, as we just established, isn't helpful here. And buffs, which realistically are only going to go on this unit, which is facing the strongest Skaven unit. So I don't think they're worried. I think the only thing that could throw a spanner in the Skaven plan right now is a big unit of zombies showing up. So all 5 dice need to be to 15. With Balfroth's level, that is a 16. So yeah, Raised Dead is dispelled. Ooh, that could have turned the tide. Alright, in that case, they're going to have to put everything into keeping this unit of skeletons alive and damaging. Anya will cast her Staff of Damnation bound spell on a 4, easily. So that means... Ooh, that is actually just within the 6 inches. So these skeletons and these skeletons have extra attack. And Anya is going to cast Dance Macabre on her own unit and needs a 6, again on 2 dice. Oh, gets a double 1, broken concentration. Can't cast any more spells, but that was the last one. Shooting, we have both Terrorgeist and the Ghost of High Point who are all going to do various forms of screaming at stuff. I think the biggest threat to the Terrorgeist right now is Stubtail. Like, the Warp Lightning Cannon is going to be a bit obstructed, so let's go with a Death Shriek on Stubtail, who is within range of his general. Due to the Terrorgeist taking wounds, this is 2d6 plus 2. Oh, wow, nothing. Bloody 4. Even Stubtail isn't scared by that. Over here, the Poison Wind Mortar isn't a threat now that there's nothing it can shoot at, but it is going to go for the Storm Vermin, who, as we've established, are within the side. But does it have line of sight? I actually think it doesn't. There are too many units in the way. It's going to have to go for the Clamrats. And that one's still full health, so 2d6 plus 6. Total of 14. And again, it's not a test, so they're just using Cruiser's leadership of 7, so 7 Clanrats die. I find it completely shocking that the only things that have done any kind of consistent damage in this game are shooting attacks in this Vampire Count's army. Like the Hex Wraiths doing nothing against Skaven slaves, the skeletons dying in their droves, but the screaming from the dead bat monsters, that's doing damage. And the Ghost of High Point will scream at the Plague Monks. And this one is just a straight 2d6 plus 2, so 10. They have a leadership of 6. So that is, because that's using Balfroth's, so that is 4 Plague Monks. Yeah, the fact that it goes past their strength in numbers, that is what makes it so effective against the Skaven. Because they, like, these effectively have leadership of 10, all 3 of these units. But against the wording of this attack, they are really susceptible to it. Alright, combat. Let's start with the slaves and see what we can do against them. No impact hits because they're fast cavalry. They have 2 from charging and flank charging. So we have got 4 horses and then 5 Hex Wraith attacks. Fear check on 4. They fail. So that all that really does is it means the horses are hitting on a 3+ instead of a 4+. That's the only effect it has. Oh, my mistake. Sorry, that gets moved across. So it's actually 5 horses and 6 Hex Wraiths. 5 horses, 5 hit. 3 wounds. 6 Hex Wraith, 3 hit. 3 wound. I can't believe it took a second unit. Both units of Hex Wraiths is what it took to defeat these Skaven slaves, who are now testing on a double 1. Obviously they fail, and they have their Cornered Rat effect. All units within d6 inches take strength 3 hits, so it is just a question of whether they hit the Plague Monks, who are 4.3, so effectively 5 inches. And they do! So they take d3 strength 3 hits, so that is 2 strength 3 hits, plus 1 for each full rank, which is 1, so 3 strength 3 hits. Doing no damage at all. And then the Skaven slaves are gone. It has taken them an alarmingly long time to defeat the weakest, cheapest unit pretty much in the game. And these Hex Wraiths are going to overrun. There is a chance they can still join this combat. So they move forward 2d6, 7 inches. I don't think that is enough. It is not quite. I think they needed like a 9. But this one is going to reform. I don't know why he's still on the base. There. So that one guy reformed. We will come back to this one as it's the one with the general. So I guess let's watch these 4 skeletons get wiped out. First of all, Gritcher will make way so that he is in contact. Oh, they have a champion. Okay, yeah, Gritcher's going to challenge. Why not? He's enjoying flexing his little ratty muscles. First of all, Gritcher's unit testing for fear on a 10. Pass. Cruisers fail with a reroll. Fail again. Cruiser's unit are afraid of the 4 skeletons stood in a creepy wood. No, but if we're going to roleplay it properly, it's probably more the Terrorgeist that's just come swooping around into view. But Gritcher's attacks, 2 hit, 2 dead. Or rather just the one guy because it was the champion, but that's still him dead. Cruiser, 1, wound, not saved. 4 storm vermin, only 1 hit, come on. Wound, saved. And only 1 clan rat can actually hit. Hit, wound, not saved. Leaving a single skeleton to attack Cruiser. Hit, no wound, but you know, if you're going to aim high, right? Oh! It does actually have an extra attack because of the spell. So, an extra hit. Yep, that is a hit. No damage, though. So he gets 1 for a banner. They get 1 for the banner, the battle standard bearer, and 3 ranks. Obviously, the skeleton is destroyed. And there isn't really anything that they can do. They can't reform or anything. They can't charge forward because neither of them charged this turn. So, that is them done. And the combat here between Anya's unit and Bilefroth and his Plague Furnace. Before any attacks are done or any challenges or anything, the Plague Furnace starts emitting fog. Because, as I mentioned before, it is basically a chunk of burning warpstone in a cage emitting this poisonous, smoky fog. And look, there's Bilefroth just sat on the front. Can I get closer? Can I see him? There, Bilefroth right there. Bit hard to see, but he is there. Anyway, so every unit touching the Plague Furnace, including the Plague Monks, takes d6 hits. It doesn't say whether you roll separately or use the same one. I assume you roll separately, so let's go with Anya's unit, 5, and the Monks, 6. These are toughness tests, which test against the model's toughness, and distributed as per shooting, so they all hit skeletons. 2 survive, but 3 are destroyed by the poisonous fog. It doesn't say whether these count towards combat resolution or not. However, a different attack that the Plague Furnace has does specify, so I'm going to assume that these ones do not count. Annoying though that is, I have to go by what it says. Or doesn't say, I guess, in this case. The Plague Monks take 6 hits, however they have special protection, they're more used to it, so they only fail on a 6, which is still 3 fails. Anya is not going to challenge. However, the Plague Monks champion will, which will be accepted by the Skeleton champion, and those two are not quite in contact, so I will move the Skeleton. And the reason for this is because Anya doesn't want to be tied down against one guy she's easily going to kill. She is going to decimate as much as she possibly can. And because I really, really think this round of combat is perhaps going to decide the outcome of the game, the Plague Monks are going to activate their Plague Banner, which is a one-use only thing, activate in any close combat phase. The unit of Plague Monks can re-roll to hit and to wound. So the Plague Furnace doesn't benefit from this, but the monks themselves do. And as they are unbreakable, they do not need to test for fear. Plague Monk champion attacks. 1 hit. Re-rolled to 2. 1 wound. Re-rolled to 2. So the Skeleton champion is dead. And they get overkill, so both are added to the count. And next we get to see the terrifying power of a vampire lord who has been souped up for combat. Anya has 2 vampiric powers, Quick Blood and Red Fury. Quick Blood means she has always strikes first, which you wouldn't think would be useful against Skaven. However, it means that if her initiative is still higher than theirs, she gets to reroll any misses. And Red Fury means that for each wound she inflicts with her base attacks, she then gets an additional attack. So those new ones don't create additional attacks, or can't rather, but her original ones can, which is why it is good to give her stuff like extra attack. So on one hand, it might be clever for her to direct her attacks at Bilefroth, especially as they can't break the unit, but she could probably rip through a lot more. Because it's absolutely vital they win by combat resolution, you see. Because they're both unbreakable, so they're just going to grind down to nothing. No, I think she can see the threat that Bilefroth poses, so yeah, she's going to direct her attacks towards Bilefroth to begin with. She has 5, so she could easily kill him and still take out some Plague Monks. So she'll start off with 2 attacks against Bilefroth. 2 hit. No wound. Another 2 against Bilefroth. She has a total of 6 at the moment. 1 hit. Due to being always strikes first, she gets a reroll, so that's 2 hits total. 1 wound. He would normally get a minor armor save, but that is defeated by her strength. So Bilefroth is wounded. One of her last 2 attacks. Hit. Wound. Again, no armor save because it's too high strength. She kills Bilefroth. She just darts up onto the front of the Plague Furnace. This is the big downside with the Plague Furnace. She just darts up onto the Plague Furnace and just like keeps slashing away at Bilefroth, who's just like squeaking and waving his staff. I feel bad for the guy. But yeah, Bilefroth is dead. And I cannot find definitive rules about whether the Plague Furnace keeps going. I assume it does. Technically, it's not a chariot or a monster or anything like that, so there are no definitive rules about what happens, but I'm going to assume it's treated like that. I think she'll direct her last normal attack at the Plague Furnace itself, because if she can destroy that, then they won't be unbreakable anymore. So, hit. This one's much harder to wound though, but she gets a wound, leaving her with 3 Red Fury attacks, all of which are going against the Plague Furnace as well. 3 hit. No wounds though. Still, she killed Bilefroth and damaged the Plague Furnace. Next it's the Plague Monks and the Plague Monk crew on the furnace itself. The furnace has 6 attacks. I'm going to split these up a bit. I'm going to have these 2 attacking Anya herself, so that's 3. 1 hit. 2 rerolled. Still 1. A wound. Wow. Not saved. So just an ordinary Plague Monk managed to wound Anya. And I think I just need to direct all 6 of the Plague Furnace attacks against Anya as well, because this is the crew, you see. This is the people who are actually pulling the thing. Yeah, I'm going to direct all 6 of them at Anya. 2, they don't get a reroll. 1 wound. Also not saved. She takes another wound. And then 4 more Plague Monk attacks, because of Frenzy, that one has 2, against the skeletons. 3 hit. Reroll to a 4, and all 4 that hit were 6s. If they still have poisoned attacks, that would be incredible, but they don't. 1 wound. Rerolled into 3. 1 saved. 2 dead. 4 skeletons against monks. 2. No wound. 5 skeletons against the furnace. 2. No wound. And then the Plague Furnace itself, rather than just the crew, gets to make an attack. Because you see, this thing is also a wrecking ball. So they release the chain as it hits its peak, and it slams down into them. It does an artillery dice's worth of hits, distributed as shooting, so it can't target Anya, sadly. So it does 8 hits. Strength 5. And this is just going to mulch anything it hits. Oh yeah, that's 7 wounds. They get no saves at all, because it is too high strength and they have spears, so they don't get a parry. So overall, although Bilefroth died, the only wounds inflicted were by Anya. So yeah, let's see, they have 1 for their banner, 1 for their banner. They get 3 ranks, they get 2 ranks. So the Skaven win by 11. That is really, really bad. Oh, hang on, I forgot to do their extra attacks. They all had extra attack. So that's 2 more skeletons against monks, 2 more against the furnace. Against the monks, none. Against the furnace, none. Never mind. Yep, sorry, they lose by 11. That went very, very poorly. I mean, both sides sort of took a bit of a beating there. It doesn't look it for the Plague Monks, but the loss of Bilefroth, like, I am legitimately a little sad about that. Bilefroth is one of my favorite characters from Clan Deathtoll, which is, I think I've said before, it is my personal Skaven clan. I painted mine as Clan Deathtoll. So, yeah, Bilefroth, picture of him here. He's dead now. He's gone. Poor Bilefroth. He's frothing in Skaven hell right about now. As we go into Deathtoll turn 4. We're only halfway through the game, and already this is looking incredibly one-sided. Annoyingly, the Poison Wind Mortar is in the way of the Clanrats charging the Terrorgeist. But they can charge Gilbert. So they're going to take some damage from the woods, but oh well, Gritch is just going to push them on. So they're going to charge at Gilbert. Gilbert is going to flee. Can he take the flee reaction? No, he cannot, because he is undead, which means he is unbreakable, which means he cannot flee. So yeah, he is going to just stand there and get charged. And although, you know, I can't pivot, I'm just going to do this. So I'm going to say that is 3 have to test for dangerous terrain. 1 dies. Look at how small this dead pile is. This is Skaven. They're a horde army. Like, the only massive casualties they've taken are the Skaven slaves after they held up 2 units for most of the bloody game. Stubtail is going to move over here. He wants to get as far away from the Terrorgeist as he can. The Poison Wind Mortar is going to turn and move 5 this way. And as a single model, it's debatable whether it should be able to just, like, rotate like this. So maybe it shouldn't be able to just turn. Like, technically it's just 2 guys, but I don't know. I'm kind of really lenient on single models just being able to rotate like this because, you know, it's just 1 or 2 guys or just 1 creature that's just rotating. So I'm generally kind on it. But yeah, in this case, they don't really have anything to do anyway, so I'm just going to leave them facing this way. Even so, it's too late to charge the Terrorgeist, but they're going to move 1 inch that way, which costs double movement, so 2 inches they've moved, and then move forward, I guess. It's just a load of distance into the wood. Magic. 11. Only 1 Skaven channeling now. Nope. 3 vampires channeling. Nope. Alright, there's literally just Stubtail with his Warp Lightning now. So, is he going to Warp Lightning the Hex Wraiths or the Terrorgeist? I mean, the Terrorgeist is more threatening, but the Hex Wraiths are actually more likely to do damage. So, I think he's going to go for the Hex Wraiths. Then again, the Rattling Gun is right there, and that can shoot them. Yeah, okay, he's going to go for the Terrorgeist. Screw it. He sees this giant bat monster, he is just going to scream and zap. So I'm going to have to put in 6 dice for him to have a chance to do it. Upcast. Not irresistible. Total of 27. 6 dice to try and dispel. Not irresistible either. 17, it passes. 2d6 hits. Wow. Wow. 2. Could still kill it. And, oh wow, it actually could. Double 6. So it has a regeneration. So it's dead. He got double 1 followed by double 6, and that was enough because it only had 2 wounds. Just Stubtail with his little stubby tail and his absolute panic musk. He just oh, it's dead. So yeah, bloody good work, Stubtail. If Balfroth was alive, he'd probably not care. But, you know, shooting, we have the Poison Wind Mortar theoretically can. It didn't march, but it's not facing the right way. So, sorry, the Rattling Gun would have pivoted. Yeah, double checking the rules about, like, what can rotate and stuff before firing. Technically, the Poison Wind Mortar fires like a stone thrower, which does pivot in the shooting phase. So that can still turn and shoot something, but I don't think it is worth it. Like, I think it has a minimum range, 6 inches. Yeah, so it could go for the Terrorgeist, but it's right next to this unit that's just begging to be scattered onto. They've had unusual good luck, whereas the Rattling is definitely going to be going for the Hex Wraiths. First roll, 1. Second roll, 3. Third roll, so a total of 4, 8. I'm fine with 8 shots, because the Rattling Gun is a Warpstone weapon and therefore can hurt them. And it's got a pretty good chance of it too. 6 wounds. They get no armor save, because they would normally get like an armor save of 6+. Yeah, 6 wounds. That is... the Rattling Gun kills the unit of ghosts. Just straight up gone. Just the magic in these bullets just dissipates the ghosts. These two have done some bloody work back here. Wow. Leaving just the Warp Lightning Cannon, and I guess there's no reason not to go for the Hex Wraith, because if they can wipe that out, then this could pretty much be over. But there is also the chance the Warp Lightning could explode, or fire in a random direction. I don't think it's worth it, because I think with the Skaven, like, they can go wrong, and they can go wrong more than most armies can, but I think there is an element of knowing when not to pull the trigger, and I don't think it's worth it for a single Hex Wraith. Combat then. Let's do the Anya combat. The Plague Monk champion will challenge, which pretty much has to be accepted by Anya. There isn't really anything she can do about it. So she is now locked into a combat with him. Oh yeah, I've got to do the Enshrouded by Fog. And I just double checked as well. They are unbreakable as long as the furnace itself is still standing. They don't have to... it doesn't have to be someone riding it anymore. You know, Balfroth is... I guess his body's still up there, but... yeah, otherwise, it doesn't really matter. So, the Anya's unit take D6, 4, and the Plague Monks take 2. So the skeletons fail 1. Oh no, they fail 3. No armor saves. The monks only fail on a 6. No fails. Anya still goes first, and she has 6 attacks. Sorry, I only rolled 5. Only 1 hit. 6th attack, 2 hit. She does get to reroll because she is so fast. Wow, still 4 fails. I think she's a bit demoralized, you know. 1 wound. It doesn't get a save from it, so the Plague Monk champion is dead. She does, however, get a Red Fury attack from that, which hits and doesn't wound, because she could have got overkill, as she just brutally hacks up his corpse. But no, she gets 1 wound. Anya, the bloody melee monster, got 1 wound. And if Anya survives until the end of the combat, there is a chance she could recover a wound by drinking the Rat Man's blood. But I don't think she's going to last that long. Oh, sorry, when this is done, it's done at the end of the combat phase. So she should have rolled at the end of the previous one, even though she inflicted the wounds before she was hurt. So, never mind. It's not roll per wound, it's roll for 1 or more wounds. 6 Plague Monks plus the 6 from the Plague Furnace, so 12 monks against 3 skeletons. 11 hits. 5 wound. Only 1 saved, so 4 dead. That's the whole unit. And because Anya is in a challenge, the Plague Furnace can't even do its Wrecker Ball attack, so that is the end of the combat. So they get 1 for the banner, 3 for rank. Anya gets nothing. So I'm afraid she loses 3 wounds to combat resolution. Anya just fades away. She doesn't get to roll because that would require her to last until the end of the phase, which she did not. And now the combat of Gilbert versus the Storm Vermin. Gritcher is going to challenge because he wants to just kill this guy himself. So Gilbert cannot refuse. There is nowhere for him to go. So it is just Gritcher versus Gilbert. Testing for fear on 10. Just pass. Gritcher's attacks. 2 hit. And Gilbert's dead. Just like that. He only has 2 wounds. Okay. Oh no. Oh, this is horrendously bad. They are going to overrun because they charged. So they'll move 2d6 forward. That is 7, which is enough to bring them into combat with Alda, who is only 3 inches forward. That does still mean that 1, 2, 3, 4 Storm Vermin have to test for dangerous terrain. 1 fails. The Storm Vermin have lost more to dangerous terrain than they have to enemy attacks. But we don't fight this turn, that is for next turn. And at the end of the phase in which the General of the Undead dies, every unit in the Undead army has to take a leadership test, and they take a wound per point that they fail by. This is because the magic sustaining the army has broken, and there is a chance that they will just fade away. And in subsequent turns, it can be taken up by another Law of Vampires one. Alda is the only one left. But these, 4 models, that is all that's left of the vampire army, they now have to test for leadership. Where it gets tricky is that they don't have good leadership. The Terrorgeist has a leadership of 4. So, yeah, it actually passes miraculously. Never mind. Next is Alda, who has a leadership of 7. So she gets a 6, so she passes as well. The Ghost of High Point has a leadership of 5 and fails by 2. So I think that means she just fades. Yeah, Ghost of High Point just disappears into the fiery geyser. And the Hexwraith has a leadership of 5. Also fails. Hexwraith is gone. So all that's left now is a Terrorgeist and Alda, as we go into Sylvania Turn 4. I think the Terrorgeist is going to just reform. And yeah, like it. What can they possibly do at this point, you know? So they don't need to test anymore because Alda has taken over the Terrorgeist. It is her magic. I mean, she's in grief right now, watching Anya die. But yeah, she is now taken over the Terrorgeist. Magic, 4. Channeling Skaven. Channeling Vampires. No. She's going to keep fighting, so she's going to use her Staff of Damnation on herself. Bound spell level 4 passes, total of 9. They're going to dispel that, which they succeed with a total of 12. No, total of 11. Stubtail's only first level. Doesn't matter, either way. And then she's going to try a Hellish Vigor on herself. Needs an 8. Nope, doesn't get it. Shooting, the Terrorgeist is going to try and help and is going to use its Death Shriek on the Storm Vermin. 2d6 plus 6. So a total of 12, which is, I believe, 5 higher, so 5 Storm Vermin die. And then the combat. Again, Gritcher will challenge, and again, Alda has no choice but to accept and die. Fear test on 10. Pass. Gritcher's attacks. All 4 hit. All 4 wound. He just cuts Alda apart. So that is... I mean, at what point was the army over, you know? But end of the phase, the Terrorgeist has to take a leadership on a 4, which it again passes. This Terrorgeist is the most loyal undead monster. As we go into Deathtoll turn 5, the Terrorgeist is in the front arc, so can be charged. So they are just going to do that. A load of them are going to have to test for dangerous terrain here. I'd say it's all of them, because it sort of curves like that. It's all of them apart from these 6 at the back. So that's Cruiser, Champion, and 26 Clan Rats. Cruiser, pass. Champion, pass. 1 fail. Miraculous. 2 fails. 2 fails out of 28 rolls. 28 rolls, I got 2 1s. Stunning how much luck these Clan Rats have had. Well, the Skaven have had this combat. This game. I'm stunned. So stunned I can't speak. So with the majority of the game actually done, the rest of the Skaven are just going to keep going, because they were headed somewhere when this whole fight started. And Gritcher has decided, you know what, we're just going to keep going. So all of these things are moving up, including Stubtail, except the Warp Lightning, that's going to stay there just in case. And the Poison Wind is moving away. I'm not going to bother with any magic, so we're just going to go straight into the combat. Test for Fear on 10. Pass. Cruiser is going to make way so that he can fight. Terrorgeist is slower than everything else, so everything else is going to go first. Cruiser, 2 hit. No wound. 8 Clan Rat attacks because of the champion. 5. No wounds. Terrorgeist is just going for the unit. 2 hit. 2 wound. And at that strength, no armor save, but they do get a parry because they're not wielding spears. Nope. So 2 dead. And then the Terrorgeist has Thunder Stomp, so it does d6 stomp attacks. A total of 4. 4 more wounds, and you cannot get a parry against a stomp, so that is just 4 more dead. So the Clan Rats get 1 for the banner, 1 for the battle standard, and 3 for ranks, bringing it to a draw. They will then combat reform. I think they can just do that for free in a draw, so that they're all in line. And it's now Sylvania turn 5. And with nothing to sustain it, it takes a leadership test on 4. And finally fails it. A 9, so it takes 5 wounds of damage. It can still do its Death Shriek, however, as that is pretty much the only thing it can do apart from combat. So 2d6 plus 1. 6, that is not enough. They have a leadership of 7. So straight into the combat again. Fear on 10. Pass easily. And all they have to do is inflict 1 unsaved wound, and they have won the entire game. 1 hit. This is Cruiser. No wound. 10 Clan Rats. 9 hit. You've got to get at least a couple of 6s and all that. 2 wounds. So unless he rolls 2 6s for his regeneration, it's over. Yeah, it's over. The Terrorgeist is cut down before it has a chance to fight back. And with that, the battle is over with a complete wipeout. Of the 167 Skaven who started down that tunnel, 88 are still alive. that's like almost half. It doesn't seem like almost half of them died because, most of them were slaves and they don't count. With dead or fled, counting half-destroyed units as worth half points, not that there are any, because it was a total wipeout, the Skaven scored 2,100 points. That is literally the entire army. They also got 100 points for taking out the general, 100 points for the battle standard bearer, and 75 total for the 3 standards, giving them a total of 2,375 points. And Sylvania, with dead or fled, scored 559, with no additionals whatsoever. That is literally just the slaves, 2 doom wheels, and bile froth. As an absolutely stunning difference of 1,816, this is obviously a massacre for the Skaven. I put this down to almost entirely to a really bad army list for the vampire counts. I thought they would do better. Genuinely, when I made this list, I thought, yeah, they're just going to move through and clear the tunnel. But yeah, it was just not a good list. Just the skeletons without any way to improve beyond their starting number. Not that they got any invocations off. They didn't have enough hard-hitting stuff. The hex rates got bogged down for the entire game. I think the Terrorgeist did really well. I've used them much better in this one than in any previous game I've used them, but it just wasn't enough. Lore-wise, I see this as Manfred massively underestimating the Skaven. He thought, no, they're not a threat. They're coming down the tunnel, just send a little force to deal with them. Just some skeletons is all that need happen. And the Skaven just smashed them aside and kept going. So expect Manfred to take them a lot more seriously from now on. The other thing was, I really expected the Skaven to do much worse on leadership, but because of the way the units were built, I didn't have any hordes this time. I feel like hordes might be a bit of a trap in this game. But normally I have hordes which are wide but few in depth. Whereas with the Skaven, you need the depth to keep their leadership high. So with that, I had 3 units that were just unbreakable, essentially, with leadership. So next time is the Empire versus the Skull Smashers. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any tips for how I can play these armies better, I think I reasonably well know how to play the Skaven, but I'm always open to tips for Skaven or Vampire counts. Subscribe for the next match, and for more board games, card games, miniatures like this, and TTRPGs, and I will catch you later.